What is going on, everyone? My name is Andy. Welcome back to another FPL video, and today we are revisiting the template team, going through the highest owned goalkeeper, defenders, midfielders and forwards, talking about are they still worth it? Should we be looking to move them on? Is it still a good idea to bring them in? That kind of thing. It's usually a video doing pre-season, which I did do this pre-season as well, but given this international break, I thought we'd revisit it. And also, I usually do the watch list on a Monday, but I did that last week instead. So we're going to go for this today. If you enjoy it, please do give it a like. It really does help me out. Subscribe if you're new around here and hit that notification bell so you know when all my other videos are going live. From tomorrow, we'll have the regular game week content starting with team selection. But today, let's talk about the template team. So this is the template team as it stands. The way I did this just went 3-4-3, most popular goalkeeper, defender, midfielder, and forwards to fit in a 3-4-3 with a bench as well. I've not even checked if it's affordable. It probably isn't, but that's not the point of this video. So you don't need to let me know in the comments below that you can't afford this team, right? It's just talking about the most popular players. And interestingly, I genuinely barely checked ownership this season. I said that was something that I wasn't going to do at the start of the season. And obviously I have to for videos like this. And there's some interesting things in there like Bamford and how high up Calvert-Lewin is. I kind of knew he was coming to the top of kind of being the most owned player, but now he is there, so that's very interesting indeed. But I'm just going to go through all the positions one by one. So let's start off with McCarthy, 19.2% owned. Now some of these players' ownerships are going to be high because they started the pre-season off high, and there's not really a need to transfer them out, right? So McCarthy is definitely that player, right? He was very popular on Twitter, very popular on YouTube. I had him in my team, so a lot of people probably went for him based on what everyone else was doing. 4.5 million, pretty cheap. He's got 2 clean sheets in the last 2 games, so 2 out of 4 is not bad at all. But you're not going to want to be using transfers on goalkeepers right now. So unless you've wildcarded, you've probably just stuck with him, which is why Martinez actually is on the bench, because lots of people that have wildcarded have gone down the Aston Villa route. And probably fair enough, to be honest. I think the only other 4.5 I'd be looking at is maybe Ryan, but I'd prefer Lamptey. Maybe Meslier, but I'd prefer to go for Ayling or Dallas instead. So going for McCarthy is fine, because it's only really Kyle Walker-Peters that maybe you would want. And with Martinez, the other Villa defenders that you'd probably want to buy are a little bit more expensive anyway. So I quite like the Martinez pick. And I think if I was wildcard right now, he'd probably be the one I'd go for. But 4.7 million is getting a bit annoying to bring him in if you haven't already. If you got him at 4.5, brilliant, or even 4.6. When you slowly go up to 4.7 now, he's almost closer to 5 million than he is to 4.5. So that's the only thing that might put me off a little bit. But I do think he's a good option. Looking at the defenders, so 2 Liverpool defenders, right, pre-season looked fine. And then it still looked fine up until Alisson went and got himself injured. If I had 2 defenders, most of the time, I don't think I would have them out as a priority. There's probably other transfers that I would want to make. And statistically, kind of, you're looking at expected data and stuff like that. Adrian doesn't, Liverpool don't really do much worse with him in the team. But that kind of makes sense, right? Because the one stopping those shots coming in, obviously he is the shot stopper, but stopping the shots coming in the first place, you got that same back 4, the same midfield 3, etc. So that's going to help them, not concede as many shots, not concede as many quality chances. The problem for me comes with Adrian is he's not as comfortable on the ball. I've said this before. His distribution's not great. So he doesn't want to play necessarily like Alisson does play. And so that could bring on more mistakes potentially. Like the 7 goals were not his fault against Villa, but the first goal was. That was a big mistake. And it's those kind of things that I think could happen where the defenders, they can try and help out at that point, but it's usually a bit too late. And that would worry me. But are they going to suddenly become this team that lets in 7 goals every week? Absolutely not. I'd expect them to bounce back against Everton. So I think if you've got 2, it's fine. Robertson, interesting enough, is only 15% owned. And at this stage of the season, I wouldn't really be looking at differentials. I just don't care about differentials in general usually. But 15%, like I'm not looking at top 10k ownership or anything like that. I'm still looking over the whole lot. So less than every kind of 2 in 10 managers own Robertson. And he's looked good so far this season. So if I wanted a Liverpool defender and wildcard, he'd probably be where I would look at. I think him and Trent is better option than Trent and Van Dijk. But we do know Van Dijk's got a bit of goal threat as well. So again, probably no need to get rid of him. You do save some money. But right now, I don't know if I would want 2 Liverpool defenders. If I was wildcarding, I almost certainly wouldn't put 2 in. But if that is something you consider, or if you are an owner of 2, you probably do need to think about future transfers. You want to be spending 1 or 2 transfers to bring in a Liverpool defender. Probably not. So if you know you're going to want them for the whole season, probably just get them in now, to be honest. Mitchell, obviously very highly owned because he was a 4 million playing defender. He's done okay. I'm not expecting him to keep his place. If I was wildcarding right now, or changing my team, there's a lot of talk about kind of COVID and stuff like that. We should have a full playing bench. Can you afford to have a 4 million, or he's now 4.1 million defender on there? I still think you can. Because you hopefully have 2 other playing defenders on the bench. But I do see a bit of concern. So I think 26.2% ownership is obviously from pre-season, and the fact he's still playing, that is going to change at some point. There's no way that Van Aanholt comes back and doesn't get into the team because of Mitchell, because he's not putting in performances like Wan-Bissaka did, for example, a couple of seasons ago, right? He was week in, week out, very, very good for Palace. Mitchell's been okay, but not up to the same standards, I would say. I think Van Aanholt will come in. So he's an okay pick for now. And again, I wouldn't rush to get... I've got him in my team. If he loses his place, I don't care. I just keep him in my team as a bench fodder that gives me value to spend elsewhere. But if you could afford on a wildcard, for example, to go up to 4.5 million, it might be worth the safety net to do that. But right now, I don't see a huge issue. Midfield is probably the most kind of obvious, or maybe the best midfield. I don't know how to explain it right, but when I look at Son, De Bruyne, Salah, Rodriguez, that's the kind of midfield that I could see myself wildcarding into. The defence, Van Dijk and Trent, no. McCarthy, probably not. And that front line, definitely not, which we'll talk about in a minute. But the midfield template is looking really good. So Salah has shown what he can do. He's got 6 returns in 4 games already. Just had a really good captaincy score for a lot of people. Good fixtures coming up after Everton as well, like game week 6, game week 7. I think it's West Ham and Sheffield United at home. They're good captaincy options. So I would definitely have Salah. I feel like sometimes you have to kind of justify to people why they should have the best player in FPL. And he still is for me, right? Yes, he didn't come top last year, but he did the 2 seasons before that. No reason he can't get very close, if not to the top again. He's definitely in there. Template or not, I just don't care. He needs to be in the team. Kevin De Bruyne is a little bit different because I've talked about him and Sterling a lot, right? And Sterling's ownership is much lower than De Bruyne. The thing for De Bruyne is he's going to get a run of streaky penalties, right? He's going to get maybe 2 or 3 penalties in the space of a 4, 5, 6 fixture spell. And he's going to look like a world beater that he's absolutely essential. And we saw that in Game Week 1, right? Or Game Week 2 for Man City. I think he got a penalty there. And since then, he's blanked twice. And that's the thing. Sterling is going to score more goals from open play. De Bruyne is going to get more assists, but they're not worth as much. Now, last year, he got lots and lots of assists. But his expected assists doubled, right? It doubled from the previous 2 seasons. Can he keep that up? I think it would be difficult for even the best midfielder in the Premier League, right, to keep that up. He's still going to get a lot of assists. He's still going to score open play goals, but nowhere near at the rate that someone like Sterling does. And so he does worry me a little bit, but not enough that I would suddenly say he's a must get rid of, right? All it takes against Arsenal and West Ham is to get 2 penalties, get the odd assist here or there, and suddenly he's looking like a great option again. So I can see why people have got him. I do think if Aguero or Jesus were fit and they were on penalties instead, Sterling would be a much better option, right? I do think De Bruyne is relying a little bit on penalties. And right now, 2 blanks in a row is looking expensive for 11.6 million. But he's got the fixtures. I'd reassess after that. I know a lot of people are doing De Bruyne to Son. I'm not sure I like that much. But given the fixtures Son's got, maybe it's worthwhile. Now, he's 28.5% owned, so he's the 4th highest owned midfielder. Not surprising, right? 4 goals against Southampton. He's done very well against Man United as well. The next 4 fixtures are looking so good for Son. And I said this pre-season, right? When he plays, he gets points. I think he got something crazy. Was it 24 returns in 28 games or something like that last year? He's such a weird player in terms of how I pick FPL players, because ever since he burst onto the scene for Spurs, he's been pretty good, right? But he's always not, early on he was never 100% nailed, but when he played he would get points. His price has never gone up to the likes of Salah or Mane, because he never really plays enough minutes every season. But when he does, he's so good. And yet I always overlook him. I had him in my squad up until, I've said this before, 10.59 Game Week 1. Look, it's my own fault for getting rid of him. But why am I not looking to get him back now? Why am I not prioritising him as a transfer in? Next 4 fixtures are looking brilliant. Anyone that's brought him in is not a knee-jerk because he's done so well. And people have knee-jerk, right? They brought him in, then out, then in, then out. But I just think the fixtures are too good. He's not going to keep up his output that he's had so far. Obviously, it's been way too high for the amount of games he's played. Same as Kane, but it doesn't mean they're bad options. They're still going to perform well and get points. And if he can go like 1-in-1, one attack and return per game, which is not, it's not something he can't do. Like, it is going to be difficult, of course, but I think he can get close to that. So for his price, because he is going to skyrocket in price if he keeps this up, next 4 fixtures absolutely has to be in. James Rodriguez is the one I would slightly worry about. He's nearly 40% owned for this week in particular, right? Because he's playing late for Colombia. No guarantee that he plays for Everton at the weekend. But I still think for 7.8 million, he's a really good buy. He's going to tick over in that Everton team, get an assist along the way. We probably got a little bit lucky as owners to get 2 goals in the last game, but I'm not going to grumble about that. He is going to take shots. We've seen that before. His expected goal involvement's pretty high per 90 minutes. Has been for the last kind of 4 or 5 years, and he is keeping that up at Everton as well. So I still like him as a pick at 38.6%. But there are going to be midfielders that eat into that. The likes of Grealish, for example, now. His transfers are going to be going up. And if Rodriguez blanks in a few games, we're going to see him start to come out of teams as well. But right now, he's looking really good. The forward line is probably the worst bit, I think. Calvert-Lewin, yes, huge potential there. Must own, probably not, but he's getting close to it, right? The problem for Calvert-Lewin non-owners is he's going to keep going up in price every time he scores because he's going to be like, I've just got to get him now. Like, he doesn't stop scoring. And then you're going to start paying like 7.6, 7.7, 7.8 million. It's going to feel like he's not worth it, and he's going to keep scoring points. And I do think he's got a very good chance of being this year's Danny Ings from last year or Jimenez from the year before, where he just keeps ticking over. He's not as cheap as them because he started off at 7 million. But with that midfield behind him, they're creating so many chances. He's in such a hot streak right now. And a bit like Son or Kane, he's not going to keep this up, right? I think he's got like 6 goals already in the league in the first 4 games. That's pretty ridiculous. He's not going to keep that up, right? He's not going to get 6 goals in every 4 games, but he's still going to be worth owning for that price. He's going to tick over. And yeah, I just don't see any reason not to own him. The other 2 I'm not so sure about, right? Bamford I've kind of come around to a little bit because Leeds are creating so many chances. And so he is the striker. But at some point, could Rodrigo come in? Bamford goes on the bench. I don't think he can keep up his output, and I don't know what to make of him. Like, so many people keep telling me he's going to do well, but I keep seeing Leeds fans saying, no, he's overperforming. And I think 25% is quite high, but not surprising because he's so cheap, right? And Leeds fixtures are okay, and they're going to keep creating those chances. But for me, I'd rather spend a bit extra, at least in a few weeks' time, maybe get Antonio or Morpay, maybe even Watkins if he can keep it up. Again, he's a bit of a wait and see. I'm still not sure about Bamford. I'm sorry. I know you're going to kill me in the comment section below. But yeah, I don't like him. I think 25% is quite high. I know he's done really well. I just don't see that continuing. And Jamie Vardy, I'm just going to say, he has been so lucky. How many penalties does the man need? He's barely registering any shots from open play over the first 4 game weeks, and he really has patched up his FPL points with penalties. And yes, of course you buy players for penalties, right? I know people will say, well, you buy these players for penalties. So of course when they get penalties, they're going to score points. I get that. But at some point you've got to be able to score goals from other means. And I know he has done it, but he hasn't looked fantastic from open play. And he's that kind of player, right? He only needs like 1 or 2 chances here or there and he'll get his goals. But even that's not really happening in that Leicester team at the moment. So for me, he is way too much money. He's not someone I would want to own now. And also, if you look at Leicester's fixtures, they are about to turn a bit. So for me, he wouldn't be in. If I was wildcard right now, this isn't a wildcard video, but if I was, I look at that first 11. How many players would definitely be in my team? I think Calvert-Lewin, Salah, and Son, and probably Trent, and that is it. De Bruyne, okay, maybe, but I'd think about switching to Sterling. On the bench, Martinez potentially. Justin and Castagna, probably not. Again, Leicester's fixtures are about to turn, and I think Justin could lose his place at some point. And Aubameyang is just way too expensive at 12 million, right? Much prefer to have Salah, De Bruyne, Sterling, Son, etc. So Aubameyang's coming nowhere near it. So the template team is interesting. There's some good points, but I do think there is ground to be made for a lot of players that are lower ownership. Like I said, Robertson 15%. You got Watkins potentially if he does okay. Morpay is less owned than Bamford. There are options in that team. So let me know below in the comments what you think of this template team. Which players are still good picks. So that is it for this one. Thanks very much for watching. If you've enjoyed it, please do give it a like and subscribe if you're new around here. Trying to hit that 125k by the end of the season. And tomorrow we'll be back with normal content. So team selection tomorrow, then the preview on Wednesday, etc. Live streams on Thursday and Saturday for the deadline as well. And a captaincy video too. So make sure you hit the notification bell. Just one quick shout out as well to all the patrons that are signed up to patreon.com/letstalkfpl. Very handy link in the description if you want to check that out. So everyone that's signed up gets up on the Legends wall. So thanks very much to everyone that's already signed up. If you want to as well, like I said, link in the description below. And shout out to Bloodborne and I'm a H who have signed up since the last video as well. So if you want to get your name up on the Legends wall, help me complete that 4th wall, which must be coming soon, then you can sign up in the link in the description below. There's Slack access, WhatsApp access. There's team reveals. All the videos from YouTube are converted to podcasts through there as well. There's lots of stuff on different tiers. You can check it out on that link in the description below, which I'm going to say for the last time. Thanks very much for watching today. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I'll be back tomorrow for another video.